So next, to the stage, we have an Italian Catholic mom from Columbus, Ohio, now living in Holland, and she's going to talk about her favorite movie. And I keep asking people how to pronounce her last name. I guarantee it's not as hard as Pecha Kucha, but I always goof it up. So, Joan Carnavale. Welcome to the team.
How's that?
Can you say your name real quick for everybody?
Joe Carnavale. Go Bucks.
There we go.
He looks great. That's the beginning line from this movie. It's my favorite movie. The Undertaker overhears himself being called a genius. He's pretty happy about that. He's like, I am a genius. I am an artistic genius. And then he says, I make them look better than they did in real life. Is that a good line for any designer? So this movie, okay, he tells his bookkeeper Loretta this, and the movie spans 3 days under a full moon before Christmas. Takes place in Brooklyn. As you can see, the New York skyline has been transformed since 1987 when this movie was made. The movie is Moonstruck, and it also is about transformations. So Loretta is out to dinner with Johnny Camerari, and he's proposing to her. Now, Loretta's been a widow for 7 years, and her husband was hit by a bus. So, you know, she thinks she's got bad luck. But she says yes. She doesn't really love Johnny, but she thinks he's a nice guy. He's flying to Sicily that night because his mother is dying. So, on her way home, she picks up a split of mums, goes home and celebrates with her father. They can drink a toast to her engagement. He's not really happy about this. He knows Johnny's just a big baby. Pop don't like Johnny. But Cosmo, that's her dad. He's a pretty interesting guy. And you can tell what he does by, this is his yard. You see the sinks and the pipes and his Cadillac. He's a plumber. So he's going out to get an estimate, and they think that the $10,800 on the bathroom it seems like a lot. But Cosmo just shakes his head. He scrapes the pipe with his penknife. And I got to do this. He's like, there's 3 kinds of pipe. There's a kind you got, which is garbage, and you can see where that's got you. And then there's bronze, which is very good, unless something goes wrong. And something always goes wrong. And then there's copper, which is the only pipe I use. It costs money. It costs money because it saves money. Now you can use lines like that in everyday conversation. This movie's great for lines. Johnny's calling Loretta from the deathbed of his mother. He says, you gotta look up my brother Ronnie. We haven't spoken for 5 years. There was some bad blood. Nothing can replace the family, Loretta. 5 years is too much time between brothers. So Loretta finds Ronnie in the bakery where he works down at the ovens, and look at this dungeon of a place. He's all sweaty. He's a nut. He's got this hand that's made of wood. He caught it in the slicer. It chopped off his hand. He blames Johnny. Loretta tells him, but that's not Johnny's fault. He goes, I don't care. He's really got issues. He threatens to kill himself. He says, Chrissy, open up the wall. Bring me the big knife. I tell you, I won't do it, Ronnie. It's crazy. So Loretta says, can we just go upstairs and talk? So they go up to his apartment, and they leave this crazy dungeon of a place. And he's got this beautiful, bright, charming apartment. The opera is playing. He's got Puccini playing in the background. And they tell each other their hard luck stories. And then Loretta says, hey, you got a bottle of whiskey. Why don't you give me a glass of whiskey? And they start drinking. The next thing you know, something's happening. He grabs her, he kisses her, he carries her. over to the bedroom, and they have a beautiful, beautiful night together. They really have this chemistry. And Loretta's finally feeling like she's in love. But then when she gets up the next morning, she has a lot of remorse. She slept with the brother of her fiancé. He says, I love you. She says, snap out of it. We got to stop this right now. This never happened. And he goes, the only way that I will let you go is if you come with me tonight to the opera. So she says, okay, I'll go. So on her way out, she stops in the church and goes to confession. Tells the priest, he's like, that's a pretty big sin. Reflect on your life, Loretta. So she gets out, she goes to the beauty shop and says, take out the grays. Then she goes shopping and she gets a new dress and everything. When she gets home, there's nobody home. She's got all her new stuff. She's getting ready to go to the opera. She's never been to the Met. So she's reflecting. This is actually a reflection of her in a mirror. There are many scenes with reflections in this movie. So she gets dressed and she meets Ronnie in front of the Met, and they're both coming together and they're all cleaned up and they're just lovely. Everything is beautiful. And Ronnie goes up to her and he's like, oh, you look beautiful. And Loretta goes, oh, you look beautiful too. You know how she talks. And so they sit down and they watch this beautiful opera. And it's Puccini, it's La Boheme. In fact, it's really a parallel. It's an opera within an opera. And there's the moon. And Loretta is really realizing that she's changing and that she really does need to make changes in her life. And it's very confusing because a couple nights ago she was engaged to this guy's brother. So the next morning she goes back home and there she is sitting at the kitchen table at the same place she toasted with her dad. Her mother's like, where have you been? Your hair is different. She goes, Ma, everything is different. And then one by one all the family members come in. And it's like in the opera, the grand choral finale, and everybody's saying, Alla Familia! And now they're toasting to Loretta and Ronnie. This movie's 102 minutes long, and every second of it is really a treat, and it is artistic genius. If you haven't seen it, get it. If you have seen it, get it again. And salute everybody. Thank you so much.